Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Design Socratic Dialogue. And today's Socratic Dialogue is interesting. We don't have a moderator. We don't have a jury. So it's just two teams locking horns with each other. So on that note, this is Tarun from Team Asas Alpha. Over to my colleagues for their introductions. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tushar, a leader at Deep Thought, working on developing some systems that can help you become more behaviorally and cognitively competent. Glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Samida, and I'm here to help you people transform and realize what your deficiencies better so that you can grow better with our problem statement.
Hi everyone, I'm Artua and I'm a content writer at DeepThought. Glad to have this opportunity. Just as my teammate mentioned, we're here to make you realize our problem statement.
Okay. Thank you. Everyone is gone in? No. Aryan, good.
My name is Aryan. I live in Mumbai and I study in Bombay Scottish School. I'm in class 7.5.
7.5. Okay. Thank you for that, Aryan. So we'll now go into our pitch. We have a very quick presentation to show you guys. I'll be sharing my screen and yeah, I request Samida to start. Yeah, Samida. Samida, could you unmute yourself and start, please? Samida, are you here?
Yeah, I wasn't able to unmute. Yeah, so in our topic, we discuss a problem statement about self-development and clearing self-doubt. So could you move to the next slide, please? These are the kids that we see. They have a lot of potential, but something is stopping them from achieving it, and they are not able to fulfill their growth the way they should be able to. So next slide. So a problem statement is combining their problem into two. Our problem statement is combining two of their problems into one question, which is self-doubt and how self-doubt can be overcome with self-growth. So, but this what our users really want?
Good evening, everyone. I'll take it from here. So, are you guys someone who is also seeking external validation? Is unmet emotional need the reason behind it? A lot of you guys have told us so, but we're conducting a survey to know more. Can we have the next slide? Is motivation the problem solving statement to this, or are the existing solving statements to this problem enough? Next slide. So we have a yin to yang approach where self-development is in self-compassion and self-compassion is incorporated in self-development. And we have been able to achieve a little bit of a desired impact through this. Yeah, over to you.
We hope to achieve that impact. Yeah. So as you must have seen, my colleague Samida also planned something and ended up saying something else. So sometimes I think pressure can get the better out of us. But how do we help everyone practice that self-compassion? And that practice of self-compassion, is it really leading to self-development? We would want to measure this. Do you see improvement in their self-development goals? Like next time when Samida does this, would she be more confident? 2, would they be able to implement this in their work itself? And 3, does this lead to more high agency behavior in people? So all the ideas that we have, we want to see if those ideas are contributing to these 3 outcomes. And those ideas which are contributing to these outcomes, will pick them and try to implement them. We've got a great platform to implement them in the form of 2 of our clients who want to bring a cultural transformation, one in an academic context and the other in a work context. So once we can solve this problem, I'm sure there's a great platform for us to implement it at a scale. And as of now, we see that there are three major gaps in our work. One gap is whatever we are thinking, right? Samida said that, or Artuha mentioned that, people are having a lot of self-doubt and this is the problem, or people are needing external validation. A lot of assumptions have been made. So are these right assumptions? We may have to do a lot of research studies and surveys to find out if we are on the right track. Second, we are coming up with solutions, but how much of it is really effective? How do we measure the impact, right? How do we even understand if we are making a difference? I think we'll have to figure out that on the go. And what kind of content do we use so that people take this seriously and we can nudge people? We'll have to figure out the content also along the go as a part of this solution. These are the three gaps we see right now. But I think as we go into the process, we'll be able to see more gaps and we'll hopefully have to fix them to make this work. We're right now going with an intuition. We've set up some processes to gather the data and understand things and evolve it as we go. And this is going to be fantastic if we can pull this out, because unlike normal, motivation programs, this is an L&D which directly shows improvement in the project. So more companies will want to take it up because they can see the link of how all of this can lead to project impact. So it's an integrated thing and it's a holistic thing which can produce the results that companies want and that people want. So will we be able to do it? That time will tell, but I think it's worth solving this problem. So that's it from our end. This is a quick pitch and we'd love to take your questions.
Can you please define your problem statement?
How do we solve people's self-doubt and help them get on the path of self-development?
How do we solve people's self-doubt and how can we get them to the path of self-development?
By solving self-doubt, how do we trigger their self-development journey?
Okay. And how do you came up with this problem statement? And so you would have empathized with your users. So can you tell me how?
Lot of people told us. It's only anecdotal for now. Through research study, we'll find out if it's a bigger sample.
Okay. So let me ask you a different question. When you are going to do that research, how would you empathize with your people? Means there are different stages of empathizing, right? Means I can either, empathize by actually doing the work that they are doing, actually being in that situation, or I can just observe them, okay, and then just imagine, or I can just hear from people. So how will you define the level of that empathizing?
70 people are watching it live on YouTube. Whoever has a problem, they'll come to me after this. I'll do a 1-hour phone call with them, talk to them, try to help them. In that process, we'll know what they need. To have a deep dive conversation where we help them. That's our process.
Okay.
What if they don't have the confidence to come to you?
They'll come.
Isn't that an assumption? What if they don't come?
A lot of people have been coming to me till now. And I'm assuming with a canvas like this, even more will come. If they don't come, we'll do more voice notes to encourage people to come to us.
I also have a follow-up question. So, like in the PPT, you had mentioned childhood trauma and etc. But nowadays, a lot of people are telling stories about their life, and sometimes there's a chance of faking it. So, if somebody is doing the phone call with you with the intention of improving their image, so couldn't that also result in false?
I have an answer, but I'd love to have my colleagues go in.
Okay, we can have a 3 or 4 fold funnel system where it's not just a call. We take one person, let's say there are 70% who's on a call, and then we narrow it down, and that's how we know who are genuine and who are not. Does that answer the question?
In which parameters would you kind of narrow down the funnel to do that?
Means those who are not genuine, you will not solve the problem for them.
Those who are not genuine, as in those who are faking it for the image, that's not.
What if they are not
selling
faking?
I think I disagree with my colleague here. In most cases, people actually do not fake.
Yeah.
There'll be very few cases where people fake this. So I think there's a problem in the question. Very rarely you see people faking it, and you'll know it when they fake it.
Okay, even if they are not faking it, then why would they want to open up about something as sensitive as childhood trauma?
Again, if my colleagues want to take it.
It would be up to us to frame it in the way that shows that we empathize with them and we want to help them improve. And naturally, when there is a problem that people are facing and we are able to articulate it well and get them to respond, then they are going to come to us.
How do you do it then?
I believe if you're able to give them confidence and if you can understand the symptoms, the root, nobody's going to tell you, but if you ask, they'll confirm, they'll say yes. Nobody's going to tell you I had a childhood trauma, but you see that somebody is having a problem, you ask, I'm sure you had childhood trauma, they'll say yes. So don't expect them to tell, figure it out from the symptoms and ask, they'll confirm.
Okay, so here it's a process level question I would like to ask. Now, you are telling that you are going to interact with them. And so are you relying on the responses that they give?
My answer is no, but my colleagues could add on. Well, I had
Okay, let us say
Not really.
I am that fellow, okay, for the others, okay, for your colleagues, I will have a situation. Let us say I am that fellow. So would you rely on my answers, okay, the answers I give you guys for this?
just to add on, I had this kind of a conversation with Samita and Artuha both. So yeah, I let you guys build on this.
Yeah, so we are not exactly relying on the responses. We are building through, let's say, we would not ask if you are someone like that, we would not ask you the entire story in one conversation. We would separate them into 2 to 3 smaller conversations, so you feel confident and then
Still you are relying on my answers. If
Okay,
you even
Umang, I think that went on a tangent. My response is simply, I look at your voice tone. I look at your highs and lows. I think your voice tone tells me a lot more than your words.
okay, you will see the body languages as well.
Body language, I
Yeah.
can't because it's a phone call, but yeah, your voice tone and your breath definitely tells me a lot.
Okay. So is this user experience research or is this empathy? Can you differentiate both of them? And can you justify why this is empathy?
Sorry, did I say this is empathy?
You said, right? I said that initially the question was that are you guys following an empathy process? Okay. Are you guys empathizing with your user? And I thought that this was a response to empathizing with your
User experience, you empathize, right?
Can you
And when you
differentiate?
empathize, you're really improving the UX, right? So they go hand in hand, at least in this context.
Can you differentiate both of them?
User experience is the user experience research is the process of understanding your users' feelings, aspirations, and so on, knowing your users really well. Empathizing is the human faculty which enables you to put yourself in the shoes of the other.
Okay.
Empathy is the muscle, user experience research is the activity of lifting a weight.
Okay. So in this case, okay, I just see you are doing the user experience research. How are you empathizing? Can you give me an example?
By spending time with them, by helping them fix their problem.
By spending time with them, how are you empathizing? How are you feeling that?
One, I believe I've got the ability to, empathize. That's something you practice with time. So as I spend time with them, trying to talk to them, understand, genuinely try to help them, I understand why they're going where they're going. It's a action-oriented phone call, right? At the end of the phone call, the person has to see a difference in the next speak.
Okay, got it.
I also have a question with a follow-up question later. So in this case, are you disclosing that you are an organization like called Deep Thought or not?
Yeah, they know I'm CEO of Deep Thought and I'm doing a phone call.
Yeah, so when they are interacting with you, wouldn't they not feel safe if, let's say, you tell that you have childhood trauma? Let's say my name is only Chintu, so I tell that I have childhood trauma. So, like, as you have to show data to other people of why you build that product, like you showed in those personas, so wouldn't they also not feel safe of disclosing their own instances with others? Then
Thank you for the question. If they're watching it right now, I'm telling that their name will not be taken anywhere. And one, you don't take names anywhere. And two, as long as your objective is stated very clearly, And as long as they can see that they can grow by, why do you tell the truth to a doctor and a lawyer? You want help. So as long as your people can, see that you are noble in your intention and you can help, they open up.
Yeah, but like, couldn't the name or like subtle details like that also kind of help you recognize the type of users you're targeting? Let's say a certain person from my name might be from a certain kind of state or a certain generation as such. So I might have different responses than other users.
I watch a lot of spy thrillers. I did one course on cryptography. So I can combine my data points in such a manner that you better be a Sherlock Holmes to figure out who the person is. So don't worry about that. You can always juggle the data points, so there's no real person in that. Our personas had nothing to do with real people, although we did speak to a lot of real people.
Okay. Let us, in favor of time, move towards the next step. Now, I would like to ask that you said that you are using Toyota 5Y technique to find the root cause. Can you elaborate that how you use this technique and what was the root cause?
So yeah, we saw a lot of behaviors like people not speaking confidently on different platforms, people not going ahead and implementing their ideas. And when we cross-question them over why they were not doing this, eventually with all the people for different behaviors, it came down to them doubting themselves. And in the happiness scorecard of Deep Thought, a lot of people did talk about self-doubt.
How do you know that those are root problems and again, not just a symptom of something else?
Sure, there could be a root problem for this as well, but we stopped our investigation with self-doubt and thought, okay, let's approach self-doubt. But as we do this study more and more, if there's something more fundamental, we'll figure it out.
How do you have that wisdom of where to stop? While going in depth, how do you have that wisdom of where to stop?
So I think if self-doubt is something which is fundamental enough to handle, right? During your prototyping phase, you're able to solve it. I think you're doing fine. But if it's not fundamental enough, during your prototyping phase, you feel like, no, I'm missing something, then you go back and do your diagnosis again to find something more fundamental.
So like regarding when you stop it, so like in this case you have stopped a particular type of mindset, right? Or an issue with the person itself. So if you solve that kind of a problem rather than, let's say, in root cause you might have like even more of a social problem. So wouldn't the like in this case you might not have those kind of users that extreme, but wouldn't like you might face some users who don't want to change their mindset but may have that need. So how do you counter those type of users?
Once they come, we'll document the case. That will again make us go over the steps once again, improve it. That's what design thinking is. Once that happens, we'll document the case and solve this.
Okay. If I, at this point, one thought came that design thinking, we use the double diamond thought process, where we have multiple problems, and then we converge into one problem. Then we again have multiple solutions converge into one solution. So here, you guys will stick to one problem that was self-doubt from the beginning. I didn't saw any kind of divergence. Can you justify what was divergence and how you converge?
Well, there were a lot of problems which came in through the happiness scorecard, but there was one problem which repeated in a lot of people. There were a lot of problems which came in when I was counseling people one-on-one, but there was one problem which was repeating. So there was enough divergence in what people were giving us. We converged to one which was the most frequent problem. One, it is frequent, and two, it is fundamental. So we converged. So there was divergence.
Okay. One more question here is that, can there be more than one fundamentals?
Sure.
Okay. So here in your case, there was just one fundamental. And that was...
Pick the one.
Yeah?
We picked the one.
Yeah, you picked the one. When several more.
There could be more.
Okay, in when you were researching this, when you were forming this, were there any other fundamentals?
Not sure, but we picked one.
Okay. You picked
Uh,
one.
yeah.
And based on what thought process, okay, what parameters, okay, have you used any need finding or benchmarking to pick this one? Can you justify how you used benchmarking to pick this one?
Wait, why would you use benchmarking to pick?
Yeah, means there are a lot of
Comes after you pick the problem.
means this is a non-linear process of design thinking. You can means let us say that there are 5 problems. Okay, someone is already solving that problem. Okay, so we can just eliminate that problem and focus on that.
We're pretty convinced that this is a very high value problem to be solved. And in my past experience of mentoring interns, I've seen that once this problem is solved, you leapfrog from where you are to something much bigger.
Okay.
It's anecdotal right now, but I think as we get deep into it, our surveys will get us more data points.
And another questions on the users itself. So, like, out of the 70 people watching, and the potential users, I might assume that like they have already been introduced to some concepts like these. So, couldn't that harm your perception of how good a solution is because they're already trained to follow that kind of a solution?
Good question. I think as we go into the implementation, if this does happen, these are the parameters we'll have to keep in mind as we evolve our solution.
Like, but in the first iteration itself of the design thinking, if you go to those users, so let's say there's one good path and you have customers which are okay to go with your path, which is here. So while you're iterating, like you'll get close, but in in more iterations as compared to when you go to those extreme users already itself.
So
So
I'm not sure if I understood your question, but let me go ahead with what I understood. Please correct me if I didn't understand correctly. One is I think as we implement it, we'll be able to define our segment, the people whom we are currently able to solve. So the ones where we can't solve, maybe we might say that, okay, we're not solving them right now. We'll solve them later. So we can define a segment. Second is we might also learn strategies of how to get them into confidence to take a solution.
I didn't understand the second point.
So it's like if Aryan is in that segment who's not willing to try a solution, we might understand how to get Aryan into confidence to try a solution.
I assume like in this case it's a product, right? So I might be in a tangent, you could correct me, but if it's a product, if you kind of apply some methods which kind of are willing to take the not users to becoming users, so wouldn't that kind of kill the purpose of it being a product which is self-reliant on itself to attract users?
Well, all the products need personalized marketing strategies. So this would become more of a marketing strategy to get the buy-in of Aryan for the process. So you can always have data-driven growth hacking, where you get the data to see is Aryan liking it, not liking it. And if Aryan is not liking it, send this kind of content to Aryan.
Okay, okay, no follow-ups. Then we can jump. I have a different question. When talking about this entire process of design thinking, you said you will go back to a certain step and then do it again, right? The process is not linear. So when you're doing it, what if this whole process of ideation and prototyping and testing and implementing takes a lot of time and you run behind in the market competition?
I'll let my teammates take it.
I think one of the things we are trying to do is come up with different alternatives for how we are going to implement it. And we are sort of brainstorming about quicker ways to implement it. And then again, during the brainstorming phase and what happens after that, we sort of learn what is working and what isn't working. So that will help us reduce the time as well. And of course, we are sort of aware of everything that is happening around the market. So we need to make sure that, see, if anybody else is doing something that is better than us, we can always use that for ourselves also. That can be part of our literature review.
question box is out of questions.
Oh, there are questions, but I'm thinking of a follow-up. Yeah. So here comes a follow-up, for this question that Tushar asked. So here, okay, when I see your design thinking and your product, okay, idea, initially you had one thought process that self-doubt is the problem. After following all the steps, again, you came up with the same problem statement. So here means if you would have not used this process and directly, solve this problem of self-doubt, it would have been the same. So here means you would have got the opportunity to save a lot of time. So
Yes,
any justifications for this?
Okay, I think that is the difference between scientific analysis and design thinking, right? It's a quick way to get things done, and it is in a specific context. So when you're implementing it in front of a lot of people, the people that you are targeting exactly, that will get you a lot more insights into the parameters of that experiment. And of course, once you are
I'm not sure if you've answered his question. His question is, through this process, were you humble enough in this process to understand new insights from this process and go ahead? Because seems like you stuck with self-doubt all through. That was his question.
No, I think in that case, we would have to change our planning. And I mean, if it's not working the way we expected, then of course we'll have to go back and review the first step again. Maybe it's the problem statement that is going around. Maybe we got one of the factors incorrect. But then of course, the point of our experiment is to solve the problem because of what we are observing, right? So we will be willing to make those changes.
So I think Umang, self-doubt is a very broad concept. As we went through the steps, I think we got more granularity of detail into the system. So we did humble ourselves through the process of bringing that granularity of detail in.
Okay, let me test your humbleness. So tell me that 5 ideas, okay, that you diverged. Tell me what were the 5 solutions. I saw one solution, okay, eventually you converged, but I didn't saw that 5 solutions.
Oh, what is the solution? I don't have one. So if you have one, please let me know.
Okay, you said that you will use the yin and the yang,
That's a framework. That's not a solution.
Okay, that is not a solution. That's just a framework.
If you have a solution, let me know. I'll add it as the first candidate.
Okay, so then okay, so for using this framework, you will be designing those 5 ideas, whether
Yes.
okay, so ideas are still remaining. Okay.
We just made the process. We have to start the process. This is the first
Okay.
step where we made the process.
Got it.
Like, I have a follow-up question, which is also a fundamental question. Like, when you are dealing with instances of psychology, in this case, and which, like, as you went to the root problem, it might isn't design thinking and the idea of iteration not suitable here? Let's say you made a faulty prototype in this case, and the person starts using it, and let's say they kind of found out that like their problem is being solved, or let's just imagine it's getting as it is like
It's not a
before.
product. It's not a product. It's a.
Yeah.
We're initially doing it as a service, and we'll productize it once we know it works. So
Yeah.
until then, it's very personalized, individual based approach where we are talking to them, we are helping them, and only when we know it's working, that's when we productize it.
Yeah, like whatever your service or product is, so if it's faulty and then you recreate a product, but that misses a part.
Let my teammates take it. I have an answer, but I'll let my teammates
I
take it.
think the people we are trying it out on need to know that need to know what our intentions are and what exactly we are planning to do. So I think being honest with them is the first step. So that makes sure, first of all, that they are not like getting something unexpected out of it. And of course, when we are planning it out, one of the parameters we need to keep in mind is that we minimize any harm, which is also done in research. So when we are experimenting it, we're making sure that it's a very human-centered sort of process. So people are not like getting any unexpected kind of losses. It's just if it's not working, then we move on to another solution. But till then, this is not causing anything substantial.
And we're not doing anything intrusive anyway.
Yeah. But in this case, wouldn't when you already disclose it, wouldn't your sample size of users decrease, which would not help you have a disposable amount of users to carry out the next iteration?
No, I think if we're going to people and telling them that we are trying to fix your problem of self-doubt, and a lot of people are relating to this, then I think they will be as interested in making the efforts, because people also want to know how they can grow and stop their self-doubt.
Aryan, we have about 120 ambitious people on the DT Learners group. And we have complete faith in the Indian parenting and education system, which nurtures enough self-doubt in people. So we have enough takers, don't worry about that. All of us, even I, all of us have a lot of self-doubt in us. So I'm sure a lot of us need a solution to this problem.
Now let me give a case to you guys. Let us say that, okay, I'm talking about future. You come up with a prototype, eventual prototype. You test it with users. Okay. Let's say that some by chance, okay, because of some reasons, expected reasons, people don't like it. What you will do next?
Will make necessary changes. I mean, that's why we're using design thinking, so we can know where to make the necessary changes, and it's very user-centric.
This is a vague
Users-
answer, necessary changes. Tell me the process.
We'll find out why.
Okay, so yeah,
Start
I mean,
with
if you
like-
can give me a definite problem as to what is the problem, I'll give you a definite solution.
Okay, let us say that. So that's the process, right? That you have.
No, you said it is. You said your question was abstract, or answer was abstract. You give
Okay.
question, will give concrete answer.
Okay, okay, then.
Okay, in the interest of time, we'll have to cut it. We'll have to move to your thing. And you know what? We thought of SARS Alpha name, right? The other name which we thought of with Samida King was Team Fry Umang. So Umang, how do you feel right now?
Right now, yeah. And so all our efforts that we have put, we have literally prepared a 7-page question, list of questions, and still okay, 2 pages are remaining. Okay. And few of the questions we were unable to answer ourselves as well.
And you see our confidence. We gave you our pitch few hours in advance so you can ask us questions.
Okay, I would still like to ask, one question at the end. That answer that question, we also haven't, been able to find a solution. So I'll keep it for the last as a reflection.
Fair enough. So you guys can go in with your pitch.
And by the way, why you have renamed your team as SARS Alpha?
Yeah, so we thought that the point of our product was to help a lot of people and make them realize the importance of their self-growth. And realization is a sort of small way to put it, but once our thing is implemented, it will be more of a transformation. So I think Artuha can tell the alpha part.
Yeah, so alpha is generally something we relate as to, the highest designation, and people follow it. So when we are building through this transformation, we want people to believe in them and follow up with us through their journey.
Okay. It's related to your product itself. All right.
Thought innovation has to start with naming ourselves, right? So
Will you not ask us why we have renamed our team?
we'll listen to your project, we'll guess it.
There is no relation with the project content.
We will come up with something. So you can go ahead with your question.
All right. So, yeah. We'll not have a presentation. We will have a verbal pitch and I will present it. So, directly without wasting any time, let me present the pitch. So, me and my team members, okay, were thinking of a problem. Okay, it was just a random idea, okay? A random thought that we observe people at the workplaces where less of energy, people were becoming lazy, productivity was less, and there were a lot of problems because of it. People getting monotonous. Now we wanted to solve this problem, and so that we don't waste a lot of time, so that we are efficient, we use the design thinking process. Now let me scheme you guys through the design thinking process. I will not go in detail about the product, and I will also not go in detail about the process. I will just scheme you guys through what things we went through. So firstly, we empathize with these people. Now we actually lived, a kind of the life of these people, okay, who are feeling monotonous, bored, demotivated, and not just that. One of our team members were actually observing the body language of people, their emotions, and we eventually came up with our problem statement. So our problem statement was that uh, uh, the energy of people were reducing day by day. They were feeling overburdened. Their work was getting monotonous, and this was impacting their productivity as well as their personal and professional life. So we define our problem statement like this. And then our next step was coming up with the root cause. What was the root cause behind this? Now here, with using the Toyota's 5 why techniques, in different perspectives, we came up to I will say that 5 to 6 root causes, fundamental root causes. Now I will just tell the names of those root causes. One was people are getting overburdened. One was the work was monotonous sometimes. One was people not having the education of using technology. One was people were not thinking through processes and how they can reduce their work. And one was they were not having platforms through which they can, come out of this vicious cycle. Now we realize from this point, okay, after going to the root cause, that our problem statement, there was one point missing. There was a vicious cycle through which people were not able to come out, and hence we added this point in our problem statement itself. Then we benchmarked this. We found that who in the current market is actually solving this problem, and a lot of therapists, productivity apps, NGOs, social media platforms, HRs, okay, were solving this problem, but they were not cohering the problem, and we decided based on the need, as well as we did the need finding of what people require right now using Maslow's hierarchy, and which is best possible for us. And then we reduced our problem statement, converged it. Yeah, we picked up 2 of them. Then we ideated a few random, okay, we used our creative intelligence, me and my team members. We randomly, ideated a few hacks of how we can solve this problem. So Aryan came up with, let's use technology to solve this problem. People are wasting a lot of time in useless things. I came up with, let's provoke process thinking. Tushar came up with a solution that the problem is people are not reasoning. People are not reasoning, and hence people are deviating. So we have to reason, let people reason. And also 2 or 3 more problems, like we have to provide platforms, we can do events, etc. Now, again, we followed the need finding and found out that out of this 5, which are the things, okay, that we shall focus right now, as well as we benchmark that right now, okay, in market, what people are doing, and then converge our eventual idea into just 3 points. We ideated a prototype that is coming up with a product technology which will help people reduce their time effort. For example, people are spending a lot of time in just remembering things. What if they can have just a productivity tool where they can have a bucket list and they can plan their things? And people were unable to think through processes. So our technology will help them to introspect and think through processes. And lastly, everywhere we had kind of a rigor builder embedded in our technology so that people reasons, and gradually they will connect with the cause. So this was our prototype. Then again, we used our user experience. Okay, we take the feedback of people. Okay, again, then we followed the design process again, and then we came up that there is one more problem statement eventually, that people are not having the mindset to come out of this cycle. People are not realizing this problem, and then eventually in the solution part, we added one more point, that is using psychology mentors. We will be first helping people to realize the problem, and then they will help people to use our technology. Okay, that was our pitch. Okay, sorry for going a bit longer.
Can I ask the first? Yeah. How is this different from any like normal productivity apps or time saving kind of apps that they have in the market? Like, why would somebody want to invest in this? Or if you're going to implement this for an entire company, why would like somebody want to buy this?
Right, I can answer that. Yeah, so in design thinking, we are taking the user-centric approach, right? We are trying to be empathetic with those people. So we want those people, like already the problem statement was they were feeling monotonous and bored, no energy, right? So in this technology, we'll have this human touch included. It will not be just a boring screen that you will be filling. You'll be, moving here and there. So there'll be human touch included, and there will be proper engagement and interaction happening.
Adding to one point here, in the pitch itself, we mentioned that people were solving a problem, okay, individual, okay. Someone was solving the mental wellness problem, someone was solving the productivity problem. We're actually cohering all the problems and coming up with a MVP, which can, with the least cost can solve this problem.
And how do you want to build your prototype? I mean, it seems like it would need a lot of time, a lot of capital. How are you planning to build your prototype, and when will it be ready?
This is not actually, a time consuming and not capital intensive as well. If you carefully observe, this is nothing but we just now experimented some concepts of deep thought like TOC, merging with HC Lab. We experimented this week itself, and these are the results, and we are just sharing the results. So yeah, there is no capital cost. Okay.
How many months will it require for you to launch your first MVP?
Sorry?
How many months will it require for you and your team to launch your first MVP?
I can say that we have already launched the MVP. We have prototyped it itself this week itself. While pitching, okay, we formed the MVP, okay, and we have used it with some people. Yeah. So MVP, okay, I will say that we have just experimented, okay. It was just a basic prototype. MVP, I can say that hardly 1 month.
Okay, so you've launched your MVP this week. So what is your MVP, and what results will you achieve, and by when?
Arthu, secret good Socratic questioning is don't ask, like TV journalists don't ask 7 questions at once. Ask one question, let them answer, then we'll go to the next question. Don't let that flow free. One question at once. What is your MVP?
So here, if I answer this question, we'll move towards a product discussion. And it will go beyond, I believe, okay, that it might go beyond the scope
Want
of
to see
design
how you're implementing the design thinking process, right? We agree with your problem. We agree with your empathy. We see a lot of value in the problem. We're more focused on how you'll exactly solve it. That's why questioning is more focused on the prototype phase.
Yeah. So can you again, redefine your question?
What is your MVP?
I believe I got stuck.
What is your MVP? You said you already have it. What is your MVP?
Yeah, as mentioned in the pitch itself, we are forming a product through which people can reduce their manual efforts. People are spending a lot of time in things which are not required. But if they get educated and they get the use of technology, a lot of things can be improved. Secondly, process thinking. People were not thinking through processes. If people, for example, okay, let us say that someone is doing let's say,
Going too long in the spirit of dialogue, I would appreciate if your answers can be short.
so MVP, okay, in the sense that we have combined, TOC with a few other features, and HC Lab being the psychology mentors, we have implemented that MVP.
Okay, so
What-
you're saying you already have the MVP. Can you show it to us?
As I said, right, it is a very basic prototype stage MVP. I said MVP, proper MVP can take 1 month. For the sake of the dialogue, we have experimented a small prototype. We cannot exactly say that it's an MVP.
Okay, so can you show us the very basic MVP that you have?
Should I show that Google Sheet? one?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can share.
My Edge browser.
But
might
it is not
have-
self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Okay, we would have to move into product. Okay, and we have to understand a lot, and it will be a product dialogue.
No, it is a product discussion. It's a design thinking dialogue. Design thinking is all about product, right? How you build that product, the process of building the product. We're trying to see what is your process. What we are not convinced with is, are you having a lean start or are you boiling the ocean is what we have as a concern. So we're questioning you around that.
Tushar sir or Umang
Yeah.
sir.
I can. Tarun, can you enable screen sharing? Now, Aryan, it's prototype 7, those subsets, right?
Actually we started from prototype 1 and tested some and tried to simplify it, and after 7 iterations
Right. Okay. So let me know if this is the one, right?
You said you have it ready. This is only a wireframe.
Yeah, we had said that it's a basic experiment stage MVP. It means we don't have that kind of thing.
I
So,
think
how
like,
many- so we asked you a question, when will your MVP be ready? You said it's
I
already.
said 1 month. I said 1 month.
I
But
will
how
try-
will it be ready in 1 month?
Yeah, MVP will be ready in 1 month. We just have the basic for
How-
this dialogue. We want to test it, and hence we
How,
experiment.
how will this be ready?
I think like it could be read. I'm not sure in which way I'm answering the how, but in my case it would be like in a Google Sheet or in some platform. We'll have the prototype itself, like you're seeing it, and then we'll enable and disable some features for the user to let them use, and like we will also manage in the background.
Why will people agree to use your product?
Because like after the experiment, and like we have also interviewed some users at the right side, you might see the insights. So our main reason was a problem
Until your product-
statement.
Until your product produces enough validation, why would anybody trust you to give you their time?
Yeah, so because of that, we are kind of starting with the extreme users themselves, like who really need the help, and we are assuring them that so they can trust us in the start.
Again, sort of the question that you asked, what if the product that you're planning to implement doesn't work? Like, wouldn't that affect the audience that you're targeting?
Yes, that might affect, but like how you had mentioned before about the other productivity tools. So we'll just take advantage of them and tell that if our product doesn't work, we'll shift you to the most similar product we or even our competitor might have. And you might also gain some insights from it. And then while you're
Can't this be a part of your product?
could you repeat?
Can't this be a part of your product, recommending other products?
Like if you're even recommending other products, they might miss some features which some other
I'm
product.
saying, can't this be your product?
Yes, so if we kind of recommend different products, it's a hassle for the user itself to kind
Why
of
not? When
switch.
there's so many people solving so many problems and people don't know where to start. Can't you guys be the start?
Yeah, so we kind of consider that if we become the starting point for
Can't you be the Flipkart
connecting.
of all these productivity tools? You said there are a lot of them. Can't you be the Flipkart of them?
Yeah, even if we become the Flipkart, if you order 2 books at the same time, you still have the problem of kind of reading it.
Exactly.
Without-
It will be a Flipkart plus Jira for all of them.
Yes, so we are applying the design thinking method and we are envisioning to make it simple for them. So if we are combining a lot of
And
products,
you will have to do all of it. No, why not just pick up other people's solution? Why not piggyback on others?
like if we piggyback, then the simplicity of our product kind of gets loose. And
And you'll be able to solve a lot lesser.
could
Are
you
you okay with solving lot lesser range of problems?
how are we solving like lesser from
Because all your solutions are homegrown. You'll have to develop your own solutions for all the problems.
yes, but we are just targeting the essential problems while they
That
have
is, your range is going to be less. And are you okay with that?
yes, because we want to provide simplicity.
Which means if I'm a user who has a problem, I don't get everything with you. I'll still have to go to other places to get stuff.
I would disagree with Rajan, okay, with my teammate at this point. Actually, what I'm thinking, okay, it's a dialogue, okay, it's a random thought coming, just came right now. Yeah, we accept, okay, your point of view. Yeah, we'll be collecting those, user problem statements. And again, we follow the design thinking process. Okay, that we'll have a lot of problems. That means diversity is there, and we'll converge. And then again, we'll ID. So, but here we have to take care of the.
No, is your
Yes, sir.
philosophy to integrate with all other solutions or do everything homegrown?
I will say combination of,
Combination. So you're open to implementing other solutions.
yeah,
You're open to integrating with other apps.
integrating with other apps, in a sense, means, yeah, we'll be obviously using, okay, if there is something good to grab, okay, we'll be obviously using, yeah, can say yes.
That goes against
We-
what the colleague said.
Yeah, then I change my opinion.
Fair enough. So which means you see an opportunity to pick up what is already there and help users use those efficiently. Which I think is a great idea because a lot of people solving it in silos, you can bring it together and you can coach users on how to use those apps efficiently.
Yeah, but here again, we'll follow design thinking and we will check, okay, the necessity. Is there a necessity of this? And we'll also check with the benchmark, okay, is there already someone, okay, who is doing this? And then we'll take informed decision.
There are already
Uh,
this Pomodoro technique and all, there's so many people offering so many things. So why not just help people figure out what works for them and what doesn't?
Yes, but I have this kind of approach that they might have different user segments than us, and we just want to cater to our extreme user segment. And while we are catering to them,
So why not recommend apps which are relevant for your extreme user segment?
yes, we will do that, but only the necessary parts from those apps.
but
Not
what if the
the
user, okay, himself is going on a tangent? And what if, okay, that problem is spread? Means there was not a necessity of that problem to be solved, and because of someone, it is spread.
You're curating it, no?
Yeah, so, and hence I pointed out that we will not blindly curating it, but following the design thinking process and then curating it.
So how would you follow the design thinking process?
As I said, okay, we'll be getting a lot of problems for our users. Okay, so as I said, it's a combination. Homegrown, we already have some homegrown problems and we have a solution, and we also have solutions and problems. Some people now will be
In the initial phase, doesn't it make sense to piggyback on external tools and build one yourself?
initial phase, yes, but has it gradually when we grow.
So on what basis would you decide if you need something homegrown or if you go with external?
On what basis we decide?
basis of the user's needs.
Based on a
If the user
necessity.
has a need for a custom app. How do you decide that the user's needs can't be met by any app in the market right now? Because that's when you'll go for custom development. How do you decide that?
Maslow's hierarchy is one solution coming to my mind right now.
Oh, wait, how has this got anything to do with Maslow's hierarchy?
Okay, so yeah, then we can decide, okay, that right now that user is this of this target category, and he wants just a custom app. we can decide based on Maslow's hierarchy that at which level he is and what he might require. For example, if his budget is low, very low,
Who decides the user's need?
We and the users, like
So you decide the user's need.
yes, like the users decide the symptoms, and then we ourselves find out.
we analyze the where the user is, and then
My
based
question,
on
who
that,
decides the user's need?
Indirectly the user.
Then why do you need Maslow's hierarchy?
To understand
to
those
have-
needs.
To categorize.
So again, I'm not clear. How would you decide whether you have to go do your own custom app development or you just rely on what is already there? You know a need, there's a need which is established. For that need, how do you know if existing app is fine or you have to make your custom app? How do you decide that?
One point would be, since we are integrating other softwares in our own software, we would have already studied all the softwares, right? So we would know if a certain one is meeting the need or not.
How do you
So
do that? Let's say
Sorry?
you've got 10 candidate apps. You've got 10 candidate apps. How do you decide if those 10, one of those 10 candidate apps solves the problem or not?
Who is nearest to our first solving the user needs, and second closest to our user segment itself.
Who decides if it has solved the user's need or not?
we give the users to try those products. So if it does solve the problem, then
How do you
it
find
does.
out it solved the problem?
By,
We see if the need was met.
How do you see if the need was met?
by judging their expressions and like while they're using it.
How do you know that it's not a short-term thing, which is, how do you know it's not going to come back again?
What's not going to come back?
The problem. This could be a temporary relief, right?
But we are not giving those app solutions for the symptoms that the users presented to
What
us,
do you
right? We
think?
did the
What if it comes
analysis.
back? That's what you think, but what if it comes back?
We might just do an experiment, like one group is using the app for a while, and after that, how does it, like, then we don't say that you use it or not, how they are doing, and one which is like controlled that you have to use it for this much time, and how they are doing.
And what if it was just a placebo? People just felt good and the need got met. What if there was no real help from it and it was just a placebo?
We tried with a lot of people who might be facing the same problem.
That's why we call it a placebo.
we will be, using scientific, we'll be creating a theory, okay, and we'll be verifying the theory with scientific methods.
In the experiment, we'll be playing with stretching time for some users and not.
No, I'm saying, what if it's a placebo? What if it's working just because they feel good? Even if you do a scientific experiment, you'll know it will work because it's working. It's a placebo.
We might design some tests, like apart from using it, we will design some tests in which you can't use the product and in which you can, and we'll not judge the
No,
emotion.
it's working. The question is not whether it's working or not working. It's working, but it's working because it's a placebo.
Okay, so that solution might not directly affect, but still you're getting the results.
Yeah, just because you're mentally feeling good. It's like kids, right? You give them a toffee and say it's a medicine, they recover just because they mentally think they're fine. That's a placebo. What if your app is a placebo? It's not doing anything great, but just because they get mental confidence, they're recovering. What would you do in such a case?
Would it necessarily be the case for all the problems or all the
I'm
needs?
saying in the cases where it's a placebo, what would you do?
Here, I believe that if it's a placebo user, there'll be something, okay, which is going wrong. And while performing this design thinking, we have come across a lot of diversified problem statements. So we can also track them, that this is going on a track or this is going on a track. Something is going on a tangent. And we'll verify it with our scientific
How would you
theory.
know if it's a placebo or not?
Sorry?
How would you know if it's working as a placebo or if there's a mechanism? How do you know that?
I have a solution, like it just came out of the blue. It does not have to do with the product itself, but what we'll do is that we'll design an environment in which the product is not there, but the process on which the product depends is there. And that
Placebo.
but we'll not inform the people that the environment has been changed a lot. We'll just create
What you're
subtle.
calling is called a double blind test. The double blind test is what we use to spot placebos. Yeah. So which means you'll have to audit all your apps which you're going to list to see if they are scientifically sound or not before you recommend them.
I think to a certain group of users on which we are going to test that double blind test, then to them not.
Okay, I have one last question. What are the 3 important areas you'd like to focus on for learning while you get into the design thinking process?
Yeah.
Here I would say that firstly, we have to balance this scientific process as well as our creativity. Means the one key learning would be when we'll be following is that we'll be having a balance of both of them. So that's one point from my side. My colleagues can share one point as well.
Another one would be you being careful of, let's say that you started with one problem statement, right? And you're doing the need finding and diagnosis and stuff. So you're diversing all the problem statements, and then again, you're conversing them later on. So you being careful of whether or not you are analyzing those problem statements and later on synthesizing them properly, right? And if you're being careful with the needs of those people, that's the second thing that we want to focus on.
And another one would be like a little similar to what Umang sir mentioned, but the difference is that, like how you mentioned the yin and the yang one, we will kind of do that, but in an organized manner. We will see that in our scientific process, we are not depending a lot on intuition as such, like in our final step of doing it, like how you told placebos would come in like that. And also in our artistic stage, we might not want any constraints from ourselves while ideating problem.
And let me guess, you named yourself Drucker because you want to approach the problem through his process. You want to bring his mindset into the project.
It was not directly, it was like he was a business consultant. Consultant relates to strategy. And for us, design is not just a process, but a strategy for a business.
Okay. Yeah. So I think everyone can go with reflections and we can close. I'll go last.
I'll go second.
Okay, one question, okay, that I had in my mind. I said I will say in the reflection part. I will go ahead. So it is simply like a reverse placebo. Okay, what if you had a solution which didn't work? Okay, which user is disliked. Okay, but eventually, okay, friends, if they have used for a long time, they would have got the benefit of it. So what if it's a reverse placebo case?
Good question, but point is, in such a case, I think we'll have to figure out what is that short-term benefit we can show to them, get their buy-in, and then slowly gestate a more long-term implementation. How do you bootstrap that project, right? So that would be the question to ask. Okay.
Can I ask one question as well?
No, we are out of time, so reflections.
Okay.
We understand a project is very interesting, but yeah, in the interest of time, we'll have to stop.
Arjun, you are going second. It's your chance.
He said we'll go last but second. Reflection was going in first.
Okay, I'll go first. This was like I was very much sure that as soon as I'll get under the pressure, there is no telling how I'll react. But I'm very glad that I got to experience this in this kind of context. I mean, the first second I had to unmute and speak. I don't know, it went to whiteboard or something, so I couldn't click anything. But yeah, so slowly I got like hold of my wits, and I really enjoyed this. I mean, the kind of discussions that were happening, it was like very insightful, and the way people were talking and everybody was sort of knew what they were saying, or like were able to think on their feet. That was like, I want to get to that stage. Yeah.
Wait, I would like to reflect on like what I'm feeling right now, because like I think it has been after a long time that we had such a pure questions of flow sort of thing in a Socrates dialogue, and it was really exciting. Explore a few of the concepts of this placebo effect and stuff. I did not realize how they can be relevant in design thinking, the MVP and stuff. So being able to explore them here was interesting. But the best part was definitely the flow that we were in. So yeah, quite excited for the next one.
Okay, I thought you shall go, then Arjun, and then Tarun. There is no other option.
Wait, you didn't go with your reflection, Umang.
I said that this is my reflection in the form of a question.
No, that's not a reflection.
Okay. So, I would like to reflect that I got a process of questioning, one new process that is I'm rejecting that I was unable to use this process, that you used, okay, to turn the table on at the last moment, where we had to accept. Okay, means it's obviously dialogue. Okay, there is nothing wrong in accepting, but I just found that process of questioning where we can let the other team form a different idea using our questions.
Alternate viewpoint questions.
Yeah, I'll go with my reflection. So I'm always excited to participate in Socratic dialogue, but this was a very different one. There was a, like Tushar said, nice flow of question, and everyone just like knew what they were talking about. And just like Umang said, yeah, I saw how you could just take the team's idea and kind of, I would not use the word manipulate, but refine it into the way you wanted to go and just make them accept it at end. That was amazing. Hoping to use these insights in the next SG.
Okay, so I don't know why it became to be second. I didn't form any reflection as proper, but I'll still go. So, like what I learned from the Socratic dialogue, it was a 7-hour hackathon, quite literally. Like I started from 2 to like 9 right now. So, like I kind of reflected that whenever I kind of do Socratic dialogues and become too relaxed at that point that okay, I'll take break for 2-3 hours, I kind of start getting out of the mindset, and that's a blank after a lot of times. But whenever those are like serious dialogues, like when there was a CRO dialogue, I suppose, and also CFO, we were very relaxed. But CRO, like we were very thoughtful about our idea. So I think like whenever I am in a particular mindset in a sustained period of time, so it helps me to be spontaneous. I'm just randomly relating it to an anime. So like there's a show called Naruto, and in that there's a sage mode that like if a person isn't there, then like if that person gets disturbed a little before activating that form, then it kind of does not happen good. But like if you're focused on it for a long time, then it helps.
So I thought this dialogue was a lot more harmonious than most dialogues we've had in the recent times. I really like the focus in the questioning which Team Drucker brought in. Believe they did their homework well in advance before coming in. So questions were pretty focused. I think the questions helped us expand on the idea. The questions helped us recognize what are the pointers we could pay attention to, like what if the users don't like, or what if there are unintended complications which emerge in this process. I think that's very interesting rigor brought in by Team Drucker. And yeah, in few places I thought the questions went very long, but most places the questions were very crisp, which I think helped the dialogue. And when we went in with our questions as well, I mean, I thought the initial piece was pretty worked out well. So which is why we decided more to focus more on the prototyping piece, because we knew if you were to crack the prototyping piece well, the rest of it would fall in place. I think you guys refined your idea really well with the questioning, which is the whole intent of the dialogue, right? So it was so nice to see the idea getting better. Like initially you said, you'll not focus more on software development, you'll get into Google Sheets and try to solve the problem, which is very nice. Because initially I was scared, okay, you're thinking of an app and you're talking of something very abstract, and there's no way you can pull off that app in less than 2 years. To be brutally honest, there's no way you can pull off that app in less than 2 years before it has significant value for users to give you confidence. But the moment you said on Google Sheets, you'll just do some random prototyping and the emphasis is more on the service than on the app. Yeah, you've immediately cut it down to an immediate launch. Then again, when you said you guys are open to exploring existing apps and coaching them on how they can get results out of the existing apps, you've again added that right on day one, you can give some value to people. So people will participate in the study. And as long as you do this over a significant period of time, you will have something really nice that you can build. And because you're giving the services, you can always charge people if required for this. So which means that this can also monetarily be sustained until you build that product, which can add value. So this seemed very, very practical and a very viable thing to do. I mean, initially when you presented your idea, I sort of didn't consider it viable, but I think, as the dialogue progressed, I think we arrived at something really, really viable. And I think that's what makes this dialogue very, very constructive. And for somebody who's watching the dialogue, I think this is how you can use the dialogue approach, not just in the Saturday dialogues, but in your workflow itself to bring different players and streamline your project to be constructive. So I thought there were very few tangents today, and there was a lot of focus in terms of making the idea win, making the idea work. So I think both the ideas which came in today eventually turned out to be more evolved sort of ideas, at least on paper. And as we do more iterations, they'll shape out better. And I hope these two ideas can help the Human Capital Lab or Career Progression Lab that Tushar is leading, who's a participant in this dialogue, to implement these and bring this out as and Samhita as a part of the same team. So hopefully both of them can implement them and solve real problems. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining in, and I think this felt nice after a very long time. We had a very constructive dialogue. Yeah. So the live streaming will stop.